Now, if you have a budget of 25,000 rupees, I'm sure that you're confused between which one to pick. Should you pick the newly launched Nothing Phone 3A or the OnePlus Nord CE4? And that's why we've made this video for you. I'll be comparing these two devices across different parameters like we generally do: performance, display, design, battery, camera, everything. So that you spend your money on the right product and don't make a mistake. And trust me, a lot of people do make a lot of mistakes when picking the right phone. Alright, if you're here for the first time, I'm Eshat, you're watching Trakin Tech English, your destination for detailed, incisive gadget reviews. Now, starting off with the design, both these phones have starkly different designs and starkly different materials as well. Now, while Nothing has this very futuristic, very avant-garde look about it, OnePlus is generally more common in terms of design language, if you look at it. The other good thing is that Nothing has upgraded the materials. It now uses a glass back with a plastic frame instead of plastic this time around entirely. And with OnePlus, what you get is entirely plastic build. Plus, it's kind of boxier, heavier, and wider compared to the OnePlus Nord CE4. And therefore, it feels a little bit more dense, a little bit more premium to hold and use. But if you ask me, I do like the fact that the Nord CE4 is so thin and light. It's very comfortable to hold. The other advantage on Phone 3A is that you get support for IP64 rating as opposed to IP54 on the OnePlus Nord CE4. But that's not like a huge difference because all you get is slightly better dust protection. That's about it. Because water protection is the same on both. Now, with respect to functionality aspects, the CE4 doesn't even come with the alert slider, which is common for OnePlus phones. It does have an infrared blaster, which Nothing does not offer. But Nothing does have a few extras. For example, you do get the glyph lighting system, which is of course unique to Nothing, and we are all aware of how that works. Apart from that, you also do get the new Essential key, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Both the phones also do come with the Type-C 2.0 port, which is okay in this price range, and a SIM card tray that accepts 2 nano SIM cards. But overall, if you look at it, design, build, functionality, I think Nothing has a little bit of a slight edge compared to OnePlus. Now, before I talk about the display, I would love for you guys to give us your support and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're reaching 7 lakh subscribers really soon, and that can happen only if you can hit that subscribe button. Now, when you compare the displays, both have very similar sized displays. So you get 6.74 on the Nord CE4 and 6.77 with the Phone 3A. But the first thing that you notice when you take a look at the display side by side is that OnePlus actually has slimmer bezels compared to Nothing. But yes, Nothing does have completely symmetrical bezels, but it's a little too thick for 2025 standards. But technically, I think that the Phone 3A's display is definitely superior, primarily because it's much brighter, not just when you're watching HDR content, but also when you take it outdoors in direct sunlight. Talking about HDR, you get support for YouTube HDR on Nothing, but no support for Netflix, which is possible on the Nord CE4, by the way. Both YouTube and Netflix are available. And when you look at the HDR performance, especially on YouTube, I feel like Nothing's display is tuned better, feels a little more premium compared to the Nord CE4. You also get 2160Hz PWM dimming support with both the phones, which is definitely a good thing. Even many flagships don't offer that. The one good advantage on the Phone 3A is that the touch sampling rate has been improved now. So you get 480Hz by default and 1000Hz when you have game mode on. And compare that to the Nord CE4, it's about 240Hz, which is of course lower. But in daily usage, you can't really tell the difference between the two when you're just using the displays. Haptic feedback wise, I feel like both are very good at haptics. The X-axis motor has been tuned really well even with the Phone 3A, but the Nord CE4 has a slight bit of advantage with O haptics, which is slightly more tighter. Now, looking at the audio experience with both the phones, you get support for Bluetooth high-res codecs like LDAC and LHDC, which is a good thing. But the stereo speaker experience on both are pretty average if you ask me. Now, while OnePlus can definitely get much louder than Nothing, I felt like Nothing had slightly better clarity, but both offer very little bass, which I feel like could have elevated the sound quality. Take a listen to both the phones side by side and let me know what you guys think. Oh, by the way, both these phones also come with an optical in-display fingerprint scanner. Again, tuned very well, no problems there. Now, when you talk about the performance, at least on paper, OnePlus has better specs than Nothing. Because what you get with OnePlus is Snapdragon 7 Gen 3, LPDDR4X RAM type and UFS 3.1 storage. Whereas with Nothing, what you get is Snapdragon 7S Gen 3, LPDDR4X RAM type and UFS 2.2 storage. Even in Snapdragon's hierarchy, 7S Gen 3 sits below 7 Gen 3, and therefore in synthetic benchmarks, we're seeing OnePlus perform better than Nothing. Now, we also ran a CPU stability test, and in that we noticed that actually Nothing is performing better than OnePlus. Now, this is where things start to get a little interesting, because one of the things that Nothing seems to have done with the kind of hardware that it has is tune it really well because you also do get a larger vapor cooling chamber inside the phone as opposed to just a heatsink inside the Nord CE4. Now, of course, you get UFS 2.2, so the sequential read-write speeds are definitely better on OnePlus compared to Nothing. But when you look at the random read-write speeds, the read speeds are slightly higher on Nothing and the write speeds are slightly higher on OnePlus. But more importantly, I expected the Nord CE4 to be like way better at gaming compared to the Nothing Phone 3A, but that doesn't seem to be the case actually, which was kind of surprising to us. Firstly, because BGMI runs at 90 FPS by default on Nothing Phone 3A, but it doesn't on the Nord CE4, which is surprising firstly. And I feel like it should be possible to run the game at 90 FPS, but it doesn't support at the moment. But more importantly, when we ran Genshin Impact side by side, we almost always noticed that, Nothing offered higher frame rates compared to OnePlus. And while there were stutters in gaming on the Nothing Phone 3A, it wasn't as bad or as pronounced as the Nord CE4. So maybe I feel like the Nothing Phone 3A is tuned better than the Nord CE4 in terms of gaming performance. But overall, when you look at everyday usage, both these phones are very fast, very smooth, nothing to set the two apart. You also do get excellent call quality and cellular reception through Jio and Airtel, which you tested on both the phones. Both these phones also support like the requisite 5G bands that you need. You get Bluetooth 5.4, you also do get support for Wi-Fi 6. But one advantage of Nothing is that you get support for NFC, which the CE4 doesn't have, and NFC is very important these days. Now, while performance was a little bit of a mixed bag where, in certain situations Nothing is better, in certain situations OnePlus is better, battery life is also a bit of a mixed bag actually. Because while OnePlus has 5500 mAh battery and Nothing has 5000 mAh battery, OnePlus does offer only slightly better battery life compared to Nothing. Because if OnePlus went up to 8.5 hours in our testing, Nothing went up to 8 hours and slightly more actually. So the delta is not too much. However, one definite advantage that OnePlus has is the fact that it supports 100-watt charging speeds with the charger inside the box. So charging speeds are definitely faster compared to Nothing. If OnePlus takes about 36-37 minutes for a full charge, Nothing will take about 56 minutes for a full charge. The other problem is that the 50-watt charging speeds with Nothing are, require a USB PD PPS supported charger. So you'll have to look at a specific GAN charger that supports it. The biggest upgrade on the Phone 3A, like I mentioned in my previous review, is the fact that you get a triple camera setup now. So what you get is a 50MP primary camera, 8MP ultra wide, and another 50MP 2x telephoto camera, and on the front you have a 32 megapixel selfie camera. Comparing the specs of the Phone 3A's cameras to that of the Nord CE4, definitely the Phone 3A's cameras seem better, at least on paper. But we don't care about paper specs. What we care about are actual pictures. So let's take a look at that. So the Phone 3A has a larger primary camera sensor compared to the Nord CE4. Therefore, it captures more details for sure, and you can see more finer textures as well. However, I feel like Nothing can reduce the over sharpening in the algorithm a little bit. I did notice that it does over sharpen slightly compared to the Phone 3A Pro, which is kind of better. Now, thanks to the dedicated 50MP 2x camera, the Phone 3A captures better details at 2x. And even at longer zoom ranges like at 4x and 10x, Phone 3A crushes the Nord CE4 without a doubt. Color reproduction is also superior on the Phone 3A, at least when compared to the Nord CE4 for sure. In comparison, the Nord CE4 captures reds and greens that don't look like reds and greens, unfortunately. But if you're looking at a neutral color reproduction, neither of these two get it right, by the way. However, one thing I liked about Nothing is that it has managed to keep some semblance of color science consistency between the lenses, whether it's the primary and ultrawide or primary and telephoto, which is a good thing, which is not true for the OnePlus, by the way. Now, HDR performance was improved on the Phone 3A Pro. It is also improved on the Phone 3A. Comparing the HDR samples with OnePlus, you can clearly tell that Nothing's HDR performance is better with more details in the highlights and the shadows and far less noise as well. But the Phone 3A has that same problem which plagues a lot of mid-range phones, and that is the fact that if you're shooting people against the light, then there is a lot of HDR bloom around the face, which definitely can be reduced with algorithm upgrades. Also, when you're shooting people, I feel like the Nord CE4 does a better job because the skin tones are closer to neutral compared to the Phone 3A. Phone 3A has a tendency to have a brighter exposure on the face, which is a bit of a problem. Plus, it makes dark skin red, which is a bit of a problem again. Now, when it comes to portraits, the Phone 3A definitely has a clear advantage because of that dedicated 2x lens. It also allows you to take portraits at 3x and 4x. A Nord CE4 can only take portraits at 2x, and when you look at the portrait sample comparison, the edge detection, the bokeh drop-off, all of that look better on the Phone 3A. In fact, the Phone 3A also has a few interesting bokeh modes. Like, for example, you've got a swirly pattern, you've got this, star-like effect, all of that. This is very reminiscent of what Vivo does with its phones, but it's a nice little addition. Plus, you also have 4 different picture presets, which you can actually set while you're shooting the photo itself so that it's a non-destructive sort of, change to the image that it makes. And you can create your own preset if you like it as well. Now, since both these phones have an 8MP ultra-wide angle camera, both are actually very average in performance, but I felt like Nord's 8MP ultra wide angle camera actually is slightly better than nothing's. Even in low light ultra wide shots, I felt like OnePlus did better than nothing. The one problem with the Phone 3a is the selfie camera, because the sensor is actually not very good, because the Nord CE4 selfies are better than the Phone 3a's cameras. So in most of the situations that we shot selfies with, we actually prefer the Nord CE4 over the Phone 3a, because you get better skin tones, you get more details. Yeah, so it's just better. Alright, now when it comes to recording videos, both these phones top out at 4K 30 FPS with the primary camera, but the Phone 3a is definitely better. It pulls out more details, you can take a look at the video bitrate, it's got better HDR performance, and the stabilization is better as well. By the way, even the audio recording quality is very good.
Hey guys, this is a 4K 30 video sample of the OnePlus Nord CE4 and the Nothing Phone 3a. Let me know how's the video quality, let me know how's the stabilization.
And when you look at the ultra wide angle video recording quality, you get 1080p 30 FPS on both the phones. Again, the Phone 3a is better than the Nord CE4 when we tested it out. Selfie videos are again better on the Nothing, because you get 1080p 60 FPS video recording quality as opposed to 1080p 30 FPS. And the footage also looks better. You can take a look at it for yourself. And you also have the 2x camera, which can shoot at 1080p 30 FPS, not 4K 30 FPS as the camera would want to make you believe. Overall, when you look at it, yes, the Phone 3a has better cameras compared to the Nord CE4. Now, talking about the software experience, what you get is Nothing OS 3.1 based on Android 15, whereas you get Oxygen OS 15 based on Android 15 on the Nord CE4. Now, the one advantage with the Phone 3a is that since it's a new phone, you also will get updates up to 16, 17 and 18, because 3 years of software updates, and Nothing is also promising 6 years of security updates, which is also pretty good. Now, with OnePlus, however, you've already gotten the Android 15 update and you still have just one more update left. So keep that in mind. Now, with respect to the differences in software experience, I have spoken at length about what I feel about it in the Phone 3a Pro versus OnePlus Nord 4 review. Now, if you haven't seen that, go check it out. I'll make it easier for you. What I feel about Nothing OS is that it's definitely better designed and looks more premium for sure. And you also get some really nice feature touches as well. For example, the fact that you can have quick settings on the lock screen, and the fact that you of course have glyph lighting, which definitely gives you an added functionality. But if you're looking for features that are a little more modern, a little more in with the times, then Oxygen OS does it better, because what you get are stuff like live activities. You also do get a lot of AI features which are not available with Nothing. So these are the differences. Now, if you want a software experience that is a little more feature rich, a little more modern, then OnePlus would be better than Nothing. And if you want something that looks good and looks premium and looks very clean, doesn't have too many pre-installs, then Nothing OS would be better. Now, yes, I did mention that I will talk about the essential key and the essential space. So right now it's a bit of an unfinished mess, and I have spoken at length about it in my previous videos. Essentially, with this key, you can take screenshots, you can create memories, you can record your voice and add voice notes on top of it as well. But you cannot search through it with your voice. There's not much more AI use beyond that. Plus, you cannot remap this key to be a camera control button. The camera shutter button option is coming in a near future update. While the Nord CE4 does have advantages, for example, you get that 100-watt charger right out of the box, you get faster charging speeds, slightly better battery life, slightly better performance. But overall, if you look at it, I still feel that the Nothing Phone 3a is actually a better purchase compared to the Nord CE4. Now, you might have a different opinion. If you do, let me know in the comment section. But if I had to recommend one phone under 25,000 rupees, this one would be it between these two. Alright, that's it from me for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep tracking and stay safe.